Hi everyone,
and welcome to another episode of ITT Podcast, which stands for In This Together Podcast. Our podcast is our honest take on relationships, love, and marriage, with the aim of sharing our views and experiences for you to take from it whatever you need.
So whether you're single, dating, in a relationship, or happily married, there is something in it for you.
Hi everyone, today's episode is called Body Image Changes in Relationships, and we will be addressing a topic that continues to touch many but is rarely spoken about openly, and that is everything to do with body image during
what? During relationships.
During relationships, and we'll unpack how these changes impact or affect our relationships and self-perception. And we'll also talk about how couples can navigate this sensitive topic together.
Mm-hmm. This topic is important to us because we feel like it has an effect on all of us, but no one wants to talk about it. There seem to be discussions about people having surgery, women having surgery, men having surgery. But what are the underlying issues behind that?
And how is that affecting
relationships? So we're not discussing that. I feel like we need to unpack why that happens.
So you feel like you want to unpack why people are feeling like they need to change their body?
Yeah,
so you want to talk about the surgery aspect of it?
Not just the surgery aspect of it, but what causes it? Like in terms of like, how does he get there, or why does he get to that point where the person then decides that, okay, I want to have my bum done, I want to have my lip done, I want to have this done. And with men having their stomach done, trying to get packs and stuff from you. What's that about?
Yeah.
I think it's important for us to discuss.
Yeah. And I think this topic is also important to me because as a woman, I think it plays a big role in relationships in terms of satisfaction with each other. And I think a lot of the times when women get married, they look a certain way. Yeah. And over the years with childbirth, with even just like stress, sometimes even depression, things like that. You know, everyday life can be really stressful, and that can really impact our weight, you know, because our eating habits change. Our exercise routine may not be the way it was when we were in our 20s and things like that. And a lot of the times there is this change it's not normalized. Yeah. It's not normalized. It's not expected. And it's not normalized. But we just want to dig into that. Like, how much of that is realistic for us in relationships to kind of expect your partner not to change? What should you do if they physically do change? What's causing it?
Yeah. How much impact society's had on our thinking
around that and all of that. So there's so many things we want to touch on with this. So we'll try and see how well we can even navigate the discussion because we just want to...
We want to get the conversations going. Because no one's talking about it. So
you think nobody's talking about it?
I mean, I'm not on social media as much as you are, but when I'm on social media, all I see is, do you prefer, asking men, do you prefer women that have natural bodies or surgical body? Like, I've seen quite a few videos on that, but why are we discussing that? Why is that the question? Why is the question not, why are women having these surgeries and men as well? Like, what's causing it? Let's unpack what's actually causing these things. I'm keen for us to get the discussion going.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, I mean, it's such a broad topic. It's like, where do we start? So first of all, do we want to talk about this from a societal perspective, or do we want to go into it straight away from relationships? I mean, our podcast is about relationships.
It's about relationships, but we cannot ignore the societal part of it because that has a big influence on it. Yeah. So we have to delve into that a bit.
Well, let's look at some stats. I mean, we're not going to rattle off lots of stats, but there was a few interesting statistics of a recent survey done by the Women and Equalities Committee in the UK. They conducted a survey into body image between the 6th and the 19th of July in 2020. So that was right after lockdown. The UK locked down on, I think, the 23rd of March 2020. So that would have been right in the thick of lockdown. And the survey received around 7,800 responses. And it found some interesting things around that time. So, for example, it was really interesting to see that in answer to the question, how do you feel about your body image most of the time? 61% of adults reported feeling negative or very negative about their body image most of the time. And that's
a lot.
That is a lot, yeah. 61% is a high number. Males that are 25 to 34 were the group most likely to feel negatively about their body.
And that's the age range that are mainly in serious relationship.
Yep.
Yeah, or even married.
Yeah. And another thing that the study found was that lockdown made people feel worse about their body image. So 58% of adults reported feeling worse or much worse about their body image during the lockdown. I'm not surprised because everybody was at home, gyms were closed, people weren't really even allowed to go for walks at one point until later.
If you did not have the space to create a gym, to buy, gym equipment skyrocketed. A lot of people could not afford.
Yeah, and you couldn't even get deliveries like that for things as well. And some people had roommates and things like that. You don't necessarily have the space for it. And just the overall tone of what was going on did not inspire much for working out around that time. Yeah. Another interesting stat from that study was that most people did not feel represented in the media. So when asked, do you see people who look like you regularly reflected in advertising in the media, 57% of adults reported rarely or never seeing themselves or people who look like them.
That's more than half.
Yeah. Only 8% said often.
Wow.
So, yeah, that study was interesting. So that just helps us to kind of get an idea of where we are as a society in terms of body image. 61% of adults feeling like they don't like their body and feeling negatively about it is a lot. And like you said, that's going to be people in relationships, and that's definitely going to have an impact on us in our relationship.
Definitely.
So with that in mind, how do we think body image perception, so your own perception of your body image, of your body, how do we think that affects the relationship in terms of intimacy, self-esteem? Well, self-esteem is personal. How do we think that affects the relationship
it still affects
the most?
Self-esteem though in the relationship, so it still has a huge impact on it. Yeah. So how do we think it affects it? I think it affects it in many ways. I think when you've known someone for a while, like when you're in a relationship with someone and things starts changing, it's one thing to navigate being with someone and navigating how they are, who they are, trying to, getting to know them. And then what you've known in the past starts changing in terms of how they look.
Yeah.
That's quite hard to deal with for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And as a society, I don't think we know how to deal with it. Am I making any sense?
Yeah, you are.
Am I?
Okay, well, let's relate this to ourselves, because that's the easiest way for us to kind of go into any topic.
Yeah.
When you met me, I would say I was like a size 12.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was 18.
Yeah, you were a size 12.
I was 18, I was in uni, I was a size 12. Obviously, I was young, that's normal. Over time in uni, if I can really laugh it, I can't.
No.
Over time in uni, just the stress of uni and studying and exams and...
Yeah, you transformed. Yeah.
By the time I finished uni, I think I was like a size 16.
Yeah, with all the stress of university work pressures while, working at what a uni.
Yeah, I was working as well while I was at uni. Family
issues and staff situations.
I was just eating and eating, and I got, I think I put on like 2 dress sizes. I definitely was bigger when I left uni.
Yes.
So this is interesting because we've never actually spoken about this.
No, we haven't.
How did you notice that change, and how did that play out in our relationship?
I'm going to be very, very honest with you. I did not notice.
Really, Frank?
The funny thing is, I noticed when you've shown me pictures of the past. Like when we've sat down and then, sometimes you send me pictures of the ones we took while we were at uni. And then I look at the pictures, I'm like, hold on a minute. Was that me?
Yeah.
Is that Nuria?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't see it. I did not see it.
I mean, at what point did I actually gain weight? Was it, because I know 18, 19, I think it was like my final year. Yeah. My final year of uni. So I would have been about 2021.
Yeah. So it was I mean, we were earlier on in our relationship, and there was quite a lot of things that we were trying to iron out and stuff. Like just, communication and understanding each other. But I think that added to the stress of trying to...
So you're saying around that time, 21, my final year, 2021, you didn't really notice that I was bigger than how you met me?
Because I was at uni as well. So I was at uni, so I was trying to finish uni. But the thing is, I understood the stress because I was going through it. So I understood the stress.
Yeah, in a different uni.
Yeah, in a different uni. I was eating to deal with my stress, so I understood that you're probably doing the same thing.
You were eating. I think you lost weight at uni, actually.
I lost weight, but I was still eating. I just wasn't putting it on. But I kind of understood.
Yeah.
Because I kind of understood what was happening at that time. But I didn't pay attention to it. It wasn't what was important. The importance was how I can help you get through it, how we can get through it.
Yeah.
By trying to alleviate the stress and whatnot. But I have to say, until I saw the pictures a couple of weeks ago, I did not realize that you had put on weight during that time.
A couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, when you showed me pictures, when we were looking at the pictures of the past, like, because we've been together for quite a long time and we've taken lots of pictures. So sometimes when I see pictures, it's after we had finished uni, we had, we were working or whatever, or we had kids, I see those kind of...
but I guess what I'm saying is there must have been a point before now that you noticed that I was bigger. Because I remember we would even talk about it where, like, before, not recently.
No, but I think it was more noticeable when you started having kids, when we started having kids.
Okay, so let's say up until I was like 20, 21, 22, we got engaged when I was like 25, 26. Yeah. So that whole period of time... Well, I guess I lost weight again after uni anyway. After uni. There was a lot of fluctuating. And I guess this is what this is about as well. After uni, I had put on a lot of weight and then I lost it.
Yeah.
By the time we got married, I was a lot slimmer. I think I was like a 14. Yeah. I was like, And then after we got married, ballooned.
Obviously, it's because of having kids and stuff. So after the first child, you did get bigger. And then obviously there was discussions about that as well, because for me it was like from a health perspective. But I don't think I made a big deal out of it at that point in time. I mean, we discussed it. From my perspective, it wasn't a case of, oh babe, you've got to lose weight, I don't like, you're putting on weight or you've put on weight. It was more or less like, okay, how is the weight making you feel? I can see that it's had an impact on your self-confidence, self-esteem, so I was worried about that. And that was my angle. That's where I was coming from when I said, let's discuss this.
Yeah. I mean, I would say you definitely came at it from a health perspective, and you also came at it from, like, you could tell I wasn't happy. So like a confidence perspective. There was definitely a period when we had kids and I had put on lots of weight and I was really down as well. I've mentioned in other episodes about how I felt down, postpartum after giving birth and stuff. So those periods were the hardest and I definitely struggled with my weight. But there was a period of time where you got really, really worried about me. Yes. And I think you were really like, I hate to say this, but you were making it worse because you were so...
Yeah, because I was talking about it all the time.
And not in a way where... Not in a way where you were making me feel bad about myself. Yeah. But it was almost like you could tell that I was continuing to ignore it. Yeah. Because I was sad and I wasn't really dealing with it. And you kept trying to make me deal with it.
I guess I thought I was helping the situation, but I was actually making it worse.
Yeah.
Because things like that, sometimes you just have to be there for that person. When they're ready, that's when they can actually take that action.
But that would scare some men. That would scare some women, I guess, as well. If someone you've known to be fairly slim keeps putting on weight and putting on weight and putting on weight, but so you're like, be there for that person.
Emotionally be there for them.
But what if they just keep...
Flag that you understand what is going on. In fact, research what is going on and try to understand why. I mean, I knew obviously it's because of the childbirth. That's why you're putting on weight. If we hadn't had any kids and you were putting on weight, then that would have been an even bigger concern for me. But because I know we've just had a child,
and then we had another one 2 years later.
2 years later, so I understood that, you know, you were going to gain even more weight. So from that perspective, I knew, okay, I'm just going to take it easy. I don't need to, you know, keep harping on about it, which I, you know, understood was piling on the pressure on you.
Yeah.
So I guess just taking a step back actually helped the situation.
Yeah. I would say it was definitely when you took a step back. I think you actually said to me once, like, I'm not going to tell you what to eat, what not to eat. Like, you do what you want to do. And not in an angry way, but you were just like, I'm just not going to, because we would have arguments about it at some point.
Yeah. Because I was trying to push like healthy.
Yeah, like
stuff,
should you be eating that? Why? You're like, well, I don't want us to have that. And you shouldn't buy this. You know, and I started to like sneak
away. Like I'm just going to the shops to. Gotta have some donuts.
People are probably like, what in the world was happening in this relationship? But no, trust me, postpartum depression.
Yeah,
dealing with kids when you did not expect it to be as difficult as it is when you're still working. Honestly, I can't say enough. Like it was a stressful time, and I deal with my stress, especially around that time, through eating. Yeah. And it wasn't until I actually started reading up about like emotional eating and things like that I was able to really get myself out of that cycle and start to understand that sometimes eating when you're stressed can be a form of self-harm. You know, people always talk about people cutting themselves and stuff like that when they're down and they're stressed, but eating is like another form of self-harm. You use it to comfort yourself, but it actually has a detrimental effect on your body.
Worse,
And so I think when you really just kind of step back and was like, you know what, I'm going to let you do what you need to do. You're an adult. If you need me, I'm here. And you just stopped. It was like, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to order some pizza. And you're like, okay. Yeah. Like you weren't even, I don't know if were you dying inside?
No, I wasn't.
And it was like that, I would say, for about like a few years.
Yeah, I did.
But I wasn't getting more and more big. No. I think from when you started being like that, I started to become more aware, more conscious. And I was like, you know what? Frank is right. Like I can't just bury my head in the sand.
And that's the key part. You coming to the realization that something needs to be done. Because me telling you that something needs to be done, or we need to do this, we need to try this, it's not going to work. It's not the way forward.
Yeah.
You know, I needed to be there for you emotionally. So it was a case of like, when you're ready, we're going to do this together kind of thing.
Yeah, we'll sort this out.
Yeah, it took a while, but, you know, we got there eventually. But this is what I'm saying, though, even during that time, when I look back to pictures, like, I'm like, whoa. Like, I'm shocked. Like, were you that big? I'm like, shit. Like, oh.
Yeah, you did not think. Yeah, one thing about Frank, he never made me feel, even though you would talk about my weight, but it was, like I said, it was always about health. It was always about my self-confidence. You never, ever made me feel like I wasn't attractive. Like, I don't think it affected our intimacy.
No.
Like, we didn't.
No. Well, we had another child straight away, you know what I'm saying?
No, but
there was no problem
in the sense that it was my self-esteem that was affected, and that obviously would seep into the intimacy sometimes. But you never made me feel like I wasn't attractive, and you never made me feel like I wasn't beautiful. And that, I think, made a huge difference. I can only imagine women in a relationship with a husband, they're going through what I'm going through, they're putting on weight, and then their husband's making them feel like they're
constantly talking about
I really don't, not even just constantly talking about it, but it affecting the intimacy. They don't want to like touch you, they don't want to like, I can't imagine that. I think I would have gotten even bigger and bigger and bigger.
I agree.
I don't think I would have had the space to really sit down and be like, look, my husband loves me, I am loved, I am in a good space in my life, like I need to take this, I need to do something about my weight and just be happy with myself. You know, I don't think I would have got there if I didn't have the kind of husband that you are.
I'm sure a lot of men out there would probably agree with what I'm saying in terms of like, sometimes a lot of times you just don't see it. Like I said before, it's only when I saw the pictures now that I thought, oh, like, you really did get big. But it's like, but at that point in time when we were, you know, in the relationship, at that time, it wasn't about the weight. I did not see it. I did not see it.
Well, what would you say to the men that do see it? the men that do see it and they don't like big women and they never liked big women and their wife starts having kids and they get big, you know, how many times do we hear about men cheating on their wives when they're pregnant? And that could also have a lot to do with it, weight gain and things like that. What do you say to those?
The only thing I could say to those men is either you were planning to leave that relationship in the first place, or you haven't done your research on why these things happen. Because I think
you're not educating
yourself on it. You're not educating yourself on it. It's something that we know that when women give birth, they do put on weight. That's not even like, you can't even deny that. It's like, unless you choose to not accept it, we know that's a fact.
But what about some people that say, well, no, not all women put on weight. You can actually be pregnant and, you know, give birth.
There are people that have high metabolism. Is it high metabolism or fast metabolism? Whatever they call it, fast metabolism. So everyone's different.
Yeah.
So unless you meet someone, you're asking, are you a fast metabolism or a slow metabolism?
Yeah, but you wouldn't know.
Exactly, you wouldn't know.
And you don't know how pregnancy will affect you. You could normally have fast.
You shouldn't care if they have their fast metabolism or not. Like, it should just be a case of, you've now got with this person for the reasons why you're with them. You've just got to accept it. And I think once you both agree that you're going to start having kids, mentally you have to start preparing for weight gain, changes, body stress, like body stretch marks. You have to. I'm telling you, you have to mentally start preparing for it and start understanding it, start reading about it, start educating yourself about it and ways to tackle it, and speak to your partner. Find out what she wants to do about it, how she's feeling.
Yeah. And give her time.
You have to give her space.
You know, they say, apparently, I recently found out that it takes a woman 7 years after giving birth for everything in her body to return back to the way it was before.
Wow. 7 years.
7 years. So if your last child is like 3, you've got like another 4 years before technically, internally and everything, you'd go back to how you was. And that must have a big effect on women. I'm not trying to excuse, you know, not losing weight right after giving birth and things like that. I'm just trying to say, I think sometimes we underestimate the biological changes and impact and, you know, the mental impact, the psychological impact. We really do underestimate we do. What childbirth is. I mean, you're bringing another human being into this world. Yeah. It's like
we don't appreciate it enough.
We don't.
No, we don't.
And I think like you're saying, if you have that understanding that, listen, I married this person because of who they are, you should expect there to be changes, especially in something as life-changing as childbirth, right? And this is why we talk about marrying someone for who they are, marrying someone because you actually love them. Because, you know, a lot of men talk about wanting women that look a certain way. Yeah. And that's fine. We all have our preferences and our desires, right? But if you only married her for looking that way, or that is like the biggest thing for you, you're going to struggle to love her through
when the changes.
Yeah,
you will.
I feel like I did interrupt you a bit when you were talking about men who do see the changes. So you were saying what would you advise men who do see the changes and stuff like that?
Yeah,
maybe you did cover it.
I think I covered that. And I said that, you know, they're either ignoring it because they're about to exit the relationship, or they haven't educated themselves about it. So if they're making a big deal out of it, then they don't understand that the changes is a normal process. As you just said, 7 years. As a man, we're probably waiting for the changes to happen in 7 months.
For them to go back
go back to normal.
Yeah.
So that's why we're pushing like, oh babe, are you not gonna go to the gym? Do you want to come join me at the gym? So it's called, and I get it. There's some men out there that they love their woman, right? So they want to encourage them. And I believe quite a lot of men do that, but we are doing it in the wrong way. We're doing that, but we're not giving them the time. We're not being there for them. We're not showing them that, look,
emotionally,
we love you regardless. Yeah. That's the number one thing. Regardless, look, babe, if you don't share this weight in the next 20 years, I'm still going to be here with you. You've got to, I'm telling you, in my head at that time, when we first had Guav, I was preparing myself for that. I was like, if this is how Nuri is going to be for the rest of our life,
I'm out.
I have to accept it because I did not marry you just for the way you look. It was way more than that. So for me, it was a case of right, if this is it, then what am I going to do about it? Like, I had to address that myself, like, internally, and be like, well, fuck it.
Right.
I'm gonna be here, like, you know, like, this is it. Like, I will swear, kids should not be listening to this. Yeah. No, but it's the truth though. If you're not willing to be in that position to accept it and say, right, if she chooses like, no, but this is just me, I don't want to change, I'm happy the way I am, like, I'm much happier now. Babe, I love you the way I didn't marry you because you looked like this. I married you because of who you are, and you know. So yeah,
there are people that are going to say that's not realistic. They're going to be like, what if you're just not attracted to her now? You know, the intimacy is affected. You just, like, you don't want to,
Listen, then talk to her about it.
Yeah.
Listen, the problem is people don't talk. They don't communicate. Then they start doing things outside of the relationship.
That's right.
And by the time they start talking about it, it's too late.
Things have already been done.
Things have already been done. Then it's like a case of, well, babe, you know, you didn't lose any weight. You know, I'm not finding you attractive.
Yeah.
If you brought that up and say, look, you know, sexually, like, how are we going to do this now? Like, how are we going to keep reconnecting? Because, you know, you are adding and adding and adding. How are we going to connect this? Then she could be like, so I'm adding and adding. We need to subtract them. Let's try and subtract them. And I say that to say, but we men, we're not talking about us putting on weight.
Yeah, man.
We get bare belly, and a lot of women don't talk about that. They don't make that an issue for us.
Much as
but
men,
you have a bare belly man complaining about a woman putting on weight. It's like, have you looked to yourself in the mirror? Like, come on, man. If I'm putting on weight, you're putting on weight. Let's keep it going. If no one's complaining,
let's
unless we both want to shed it, let's shed it together. I just think we need to talk a lot more. We need to communicate way more than we do now. Don't let it get out of hand before you start talking about, you're already seeing that woman before you start saying, you know, it's because of this, it's because of that. No.
Yeah, you owe it to your partner. I mean, especially if you're married, because especially if
you're married, and especially if you've had kids. Come on, man, it's unfair. That is really not fair.
Yeah. Because that's the point of the vows, isn't it? For better, for worse, richer, poorer, sickness and health. Yeah.
You know, fast metabolism or not, you know, just...
Need to have... Women need to add that to their vows. Fast metabolism or not. Weight gain or weight loss.
Promise to stay with me even if I gain a bit of... Yeah? Is that what you're signing up for? Yeah. I'm telling you.
What about men that say, or people that say, women get married and then they let themselves go?
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
You don't?
I don't think anyone.
You don't think that women get married? And I'm not saying they definitely do. I'm just trying to push you on this. Like, you know,
let me tell
now they don't have to worry about upkeep.
Let me tell you something.
Their husband is there.
Yeah, I get that. Let me tell you something. The way society is these days. This keeping up with the Joneses, this society that paints a certain picture of how people should be, and I don't think anyone purposely let themselves go. I think it happens because of several reasons that's happening in the relationship.
Like what?
Stress from the man, stress of, you know, juggling marriage, kids, professional work, their external families, external friends. It's all of that. Because as soon as you get married, right,
shit gets real.
It gets real. Bills,
kids, work. It's almost
additional responsibilities. So everything just scales up. The expectation is even higher. So I don't think anyone just marries and just like, well, I'm no longer try anymore. No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
It's what happens as a result of now being a married adult with kids.
And when you're married, you deserve to relax. You deserve, if you want to let yourself go, let yourself go. But like
you can't be advising that.
No, but because you're going to spend the rest of your life with that person, but that's the aim of it. Then why are you going to be pretending? It's all come down to communication. Like, communicate with your partner. If you're not a gym person, you're not working out, you don't like working out, make that clear from the start. Like, babe, look, I don't even like stepping into the gym. So when we have kids, I'm sure I'm gonna put on weight, but I will try and like work it off. going for walks.
Yeah, there's other things
Yeah, that it can do.
Other
So don't be
ways.
stressing me about going to the gym just because you go to the gym. Like, don't.
Yeah,
You need
you
to
can
have
go
those
for
conversations.
walks. I mean, you got to be healthy because you want to be there for each other.
For each
You
other.
don't
I
want-
agree. That's
you
another
don't
thing
want
as
people
well.
dying early.
Going on weight
Yeah,
can lead to death and
Yeah.
lead to like heart problems and
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah,
loads of health issues. So I think it's more about, because social media tells us we all need to be at the gym. We all feel like we need to be at the
I
gym,
agree.
and we don't. We can be healthy in other ways. A lot of the times it's what we eat, sugar, carbs, excessive salt. All of that stuff affects your health
I agree.
and affects
I
your
agree.
weight. So a lot of the times it's like what we eat, how and when we're even what times we're eating.
yeah.
It's also things like not being active enough, but not necessarily going to the gym.
Yeah.
Going for a walk is playing a sport.
Most of the time, it's a lifestyle that you
Yeah, it's a lifestyle. So
yeah, because people
it's-
do shed weight without going to the gym.
exactly,
Just
I
by
lost
eating
the bulk
healthy.
of my weight because of food. Do you know what I mean? It was eating
Yeah,
that helped me to lose weight. It was not even working out. Working out is something that I do now to maintain, but
yeah,
a lot of the times carbs are like, especially as
Yeah.
African, it's like our
Yeah.
like kryptonite.
eat rice every day.
Oh, that's our kryptonite.
Addicted to rice.
But
Rice
that's
and
it.
stew.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
Yeah.
there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah,
But-
that's why I believe no one purposely let themselves go.
Yeah.
So when a man says, "Oh, we got married and then she just let herself go," well, why has that happened? There's always an underlying issue with it.
Sometimes as well, I mean, just to challenge men on that point, sometimes the letting themselves go is also because you get married and the man lets himself go.
Oh, yeah.
And not necessarily physically, but even in
like,
the way
he
he treats her
Yeah.
compared
True.
to
That's a-
how he used
that's
to
a
treat her
very,
when he
very
was
good-
chasing her,
That's a very, very good point. If he does
which
that,
affects her self-esteem.
she would feel like, well, why am I? Why should I continue putting in the effort?
Yeah.
Because you're not treating me the way you were treating me before. So why should you get that same me?
And not even, they might not even be doing that consciously. It could be subconscious.
Subconsciously,
It's
yeah.
like your husband now just sees you as a prize that he's won that could just sit there.
Yeah.
You feel
feel a
unappreciated.
certain way.
You
Yes,
feel
yeah.
unloved. Your self-esteem is being impacted. It's
Yeah.
hard to maintain like a great body image because you're so like down and
Yeah.
you feel so worthless.
Yeah.
So I also think when men say, "Oh, she let herself go," sometimes I'm like, as a man, you need to think about how you've actually been treating her. What have you changed in your behavior post-marriage? Or post-commitment? Because some people don't get married, but like maybe you started living together and now all of a sudden you're acting different towards her.
And if nothing has changed, and if you feel like nothing has changed, that it's not something that you've contributed to,
Talk to her
talk
because
to her, try and
she
find
might
out
tell you.
exactly, try and find out what's happening, and then you might feel a certain way, but she sees it very differently.
Yeah.
So get clarity on that.
Yeah. So we've spoken a lot about me and women's changes after marriage and stuff like that. What about you? I mean, from when I met you, you were like 21, 22.
Yeah.
What do you think has changed physically in terms of body image and appearance for you? And have you ever felt like insecure about your appearance?
Yeah. I mean, I've lost most of my hair. Yeah, I've now shaved my head off.
You don't shave your head off.
Yeah, I shaved did I say I shaved my head off? I shaved my hair off. Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that changes that when that came
And
about.
you've got grey
I've got grey hair.
in your beard, which I love. I love grey hair.
I don't know about that.
I love it.
So yeah, and I've got a bit of a daddy tummy.
I don't think you have a daddy tummy, Frank. You don't even drink alcohol. You literally don't have. Your belly is.
But like
not
I
big.
said, when you eat rice almost every day, the carbs stay there. So that is still there. So I think it has had some form of impact on me. I've had to accept it. Like I wasn't going bald, crazy bald, but I just decided to just adopt my look in terms of like I just started shaving off my hair and stuff like that, just trying to keep a certain look.
I like the look. I like
the
your
grey
shape.
hair. I'm owning the grey hair. Like I've just kind of accepted it. Like
You're
you know
not
what?
putting any of the.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like try and put those colors to the darkening thing to hide the grey hair. I don't need to do any of that because this is how I am. And you've told me you like it, so I'm happy with that. If you told me you didn't like it, then I'll look into making some changes to it or whatever.
No, I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
So, but we men, we don't talk about our body changes. We never talk about it. I mean, we're talking about society is not discussing body changes in women and why it's happening. Men's one, like, it's unheard of. Like, it doesn't even, like, no one even thinks about it, let alone talk about it. And it's quite big, and I think it impacts a lot of men, which then feeds into how they treat their women. Yeah, I think we need to own it. We need to accept it first, that our body has changed as well and is changing, before we start like mentioning our women's body changes and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, because men's body changes from their 20s to their 40s.
Yeah, it does.
But they kind of just expect that change to be normal, normalized. And it's women's changes that they're looking at. It's like you want them to look like a 25-year-old. Exactly. They're not going to look like
that's why men are now doing surgery.
Yeah, as well.
Yeah, as well. So,
But in terms of like the hair stuff, right? Because that's probably one of the biggest things for men, I think. That is
hair loss.
Yeah, hair loss is like a big thing for men. How do you navigate that? And how does that, like, first of all, how does that make you feel? But then how do you navigate it in a marriage to like not let it affect you?
Well, it doesn't make me feel anyway, because I feel like it's a natural process. For men. Sometimes for some men it happens at an early age, and other men it happens at a later age, and some men it doesn't even happen at all. Like they just get to old age with full hair, and God is good, they're happy. But for me, it doesn't have an impact on our relationship at all. I mean, you joke about it sometimes. I should get a hair transplant, and I've said no to that.
I don't think you should. I've asked you. You've asked that's me something you want to do.
Yeah, that's
because
correct.
We talk about everything. I don't want you to feel like that's something you want to do, but you don't want to tell me because you think I'm going to judge you. I just always try to get us to talk about things.
You're being supportive, by saying that, if it's something I've thought about, and I've thought about it, and I thought, no, I'm quite comfortable in how I look and whatnot. So,
but if you ever did in the future want to do that, that's not a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing. No, people. Like, I'm not saying people, the men that are doing that or have gone and done that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Yeah, like, whatever works for you, whatever you're comfortable with.
Exactly.
But this is what I'm comfortable with, and I'm happy this way.
Yeah. Well, I've always felt that you've grown gracefully. I like the shaved head look. I think I was even the one that told you, like, why don't you just shave your head?
You
just go for the Tupac Shakur,
so
LL Cool J and In Too Deep look. Like, just embrace it. And so, I don't even think you've changed much. But when I look back at pictures, I'm like, oh yeah, he was so much younger. But,
I've aged all right.
So there's two things we want to touch on a bit more, which is societal expectations and the role that plays in shaping our expectations of each other and our perceptions of ourselves. We also want to kind of touch on the rise in cosmetic surgery and people making changes to their body as a result of things like BBLs. And BBLs is where you get a Brazilian butt lift. That's what it stands for. But then there's also like liposuction, which is not necessarily anything to do with butt injections or anything to do with that area. And there's also things like cosmetic surgeries to the face, so like fillers, lip fillers, cheek fillers,
hair transplant.
There's also things like the traditional kind of facelift and breast augmentation. So there's a lot of different things that people can do, and then there's even weirder stuff, but that's just going beyond. But there's
weirder stuff like what?
Rib removal, stuff like that.
What purpose?
I don't know. Some people remove their ribs so that they can have a smaller waist and stuff.
Wow, okay.
I know, it's crazy. And there's ab etching as well, where men or women can get their body sculpted to look like they've got
abs and
working out. Yeah, exactly. So usually that will be like coupled with liposuction, things like that. So many things. There's so many things that you can do, and probably others that we're not fully aware of. But we want to touch on that aspect of things as well, and some of the things that's kind of been going on in the media. I know Zizi Mills made a comment about surgery being for men, and I'll read that verbatim and we can talk about that briefly.
Okay.
And also, you mentioned DC Youngfly.
Yeah,
I think that's his name. He's is he a rapper or a comedian?
He's a comedian.
Okay, yeah. So he's a comedian, and his partner, not his wife, because I think a lot of people thought that they were married, but they're not. But they had like 3 kids or 4 kids, I can't remember, but they have a significant number of kids. And after having babies, his partner went to have surgery. It was like a mummy makeover, and she passed away. So I think she had an adverse reaction to it and passed away. And that was really shocking. So there's things like that we want to touch on. So let's just get into that part of it. So like, what's changed in your opinion in the last like 20, 30 years when it comes to body image and society and how that impacts us?
I think a lot has changed. I think with the rise of technology, with the rise of social media, we are all more aware of what other people look like. All around the world. We are more aware of what celebrities look like. We have access to their literally everyday lives.
Yeah, which is so different.
Which is so different to what...
In the past, you saw celebrities at award shows on their music videos.
Movies.
You did not see them snapping here and there. And you didn't see them.
So we had way more access, way more information than our minds could process and our minds could actually deal with. So rather than turning inwards, we focused on the outward part of it. By seeing,
outward
appearances, by seeing what's out there. And with these companies like, fashion companies, fitness companies, they are able to reach out to the masses.
Much easier
than it used to be before.
Because if you think of like 20 years ago, how could something be advertised to you?
Billboards,
TV shows in between. So ads and TV shows. If you don't watch much TV, you're not going to get much. If you weren't, billboards, there was only certain companies within a certain tax bracket that could even afford big billboards and things like that, and magazines and things like that. But now
it was limited, but now it's literally like everywhere. Pick up your phone, ads. There are fitness ads. So I think that's had a huge impact on how we feel about ourselves.
And this is kind of like across the world.
Literally.
When we talk about the changes in society in terms of technology and access and reach, and it's across generations. My parents have Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat. So it's literally across the world. It's not just something that's like, oh yeah, this is the youth. And we all
impacted.
We're all impacted to some degree. We definitely see people's everyday lives a lot more. And as a result, we're kind of cultivating one acceptable image. I think it's kind of dying down a bit now, but there was definitely a period in the last few years where it was like,
crazy.
This is the only body that is now considered attractive, which is so weird. Because now it kind of seems like we're going back to natural bodies, but only slim natural bodies are acceptable again. There's definitely a push now for women to be slimmer than they were, I would say, about 4 years ago, where everything was kind of the hourglass, curvy figure. It's now like becoming retro and chic to be really skinny again. I mean, there's even in the celebrity world, you can see the rise of like celebrities using, Elon Musk came out and said that he used a specific drug that's meant for diabetes to lose weight, and celebrities have been using that. So they're all getting a lot skinnier. And so it's like we're yo-yoing again. We're going back to bigger, not being acceptable. So it's all about natural bodies, but it's now natural skinny bodies again. And all of that is just unhealthy. The curvy BBL bodies that are not proportionate sometimes are not helpful because they're not our natural bodies, but at the same time they're not realistic. And then at the same time, the overly skinny, barely eating body type as well, if it's not your natural body, it's not realistic for people either. It's like, why can't we be a bit more accepting of all different types?
That's why I think what's become of it, right, the whole issue, it's not going to go away. It's going to be the same thing. I think what can change, what will need to change is our attitude towards it.
Yeah.
Because we can't change that whole, like, you know, what the industry wants, what fashion wants, what, you know, we can't change that. What we can change is our perception, is how we deal with it. It starts at home. It starts at how we feel about ourselves, how we view our partners, how we treat our partners, going through that whole process. I think once that has been addressed, whatever changes, whatever external changes is taking place, it'll have less impact on our lives.
Definitely have less impact on our relationship.
There's no point like going at those fashion. It's good to be like, look, be more diverse, you know, stop pushing for, you know, skinny models, and it's good to have this conversation, but I don't think that's gonna
it's not gonna have as much of an impact on our day-to-day life. I agree with that. So Zizi Mills posted.
Shout out to Zizi.
I know, we like Zizi Mills.
We do.
We don't always agree with everything, but who do you always agree with anyway? Nobody agrees with everything as someone says.
True.
But just for being outspoken, we love Zizi Mills, like whole energy. She posted in December, women get BBLs in hope of being able to access a certain type of lifestyle, which is more times provided given to them by a man. Therefore, it's for the male gaze. The sooner we're honest about this, the better. Some women can't fathom that they changed their body for men, but but that's their problem, I guess. So this tweet kind of did the rounds and it generated a lot of discussion. You know, do women get BBLs and alter their bodies for men? Why are we altering our bodies? I mean, some women that have had BBLs or they've had certain surgeries altered their bodies or their appearance, and they're not within a certain industry to get a certain type of lifestyle. Maybe, you know, a wife, a stay-at-home wife, and they're married. They're not trying to get something from their husband per se. I guess what I'm saying is there's women that have altered their body who are married and with husbands who are happy with them and not pressured them to do it, but they still did it.
She's not wrong though. I mean, she's not wrong. I think she's making a valid point there. From what I've seen on social media, a lot of these girls have altered their body because that's what gets them followers
and attention,
and which leads to getting deals with brands and whatnot. So they have done it to get access, right? I think that's one of the points she's trying to make. I wouldn't have said that's what all women do. I would have said some women, that's what they do it for. Because you mentioned the whole housewife, but why is she really doing it? Is she doing it for her husband? Because if she is, then there's an issue there. Like that's an issue already.
Why?
Why is that what he now wants? Because he married her the way she was. But what has now changed? He's being influenced by the outside. So what is he doing outside then that he's now coming home and saying, this is what I now want? There's a big issue there. So we can see it and say, well, she's done it for her husband. Okay, great. But you would often find that down the line, there is a deeper issue than just, oh, she's done it for her husband, or that's what he wants now.
I mean, I kind of agree with Zizi on this, but I also kind of disagree because I feel as though a lot of women get BBLs because of the subconscious pressure that they feel to live up to society standards. And I know a lot of that is linked to the male gaze, but you get a lot of men that don't even like BBL bodies. So it can't just be about the male gaze. I feel like sometimes women do it to kind of almost impress each other in a way, or to feel accepted amongst other women. You know what I mean? Because some of the times when women get their body done, it's not even appealing to some men. And,
I agree.
And if you're not in that social media space, obviously I appreciate the Instagram baddies do it because, you know, they're going to get that attention, they're going to get the money from it and stuff. I can understand that. But then I think there's also another subgroup that feel pressured to keep up
their friends are doing it. People they know, their circles of friends.
Exactly. And that's why I bring up the married woman who goes and gets her, you know, breast done and her butt done and stuff. She's not necessarily doing it for other men. She's doing it because she doesn't feel attractive in today's society. And that is irrespective of her husband being like, babe, you're fine. I like your butt the way it is. I don't think you need breast enlargement. But she, amongst other women in society, does not feel that she's good enough or looks how everybody would deem as attractive. So I feel like to say it's for the male gaze is right to some extent, but it is also it's too surface. Like there's a deeper issue there, and a lot of it is to do with what is perceived as attractive. And when that changes, there are some people that succumb to that, and they try to fit in with the mold of what is deemed as attractive, and not necessarily for the male gaze, but because of the fact that they want to fit in society.
Well, I think because we're all different, we do things for different reasons.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say some women are doing it for the male gaze. Some women are doing it to get somewhere. Some women are doing it to attract certain men. Some women could say they're doing it for themselves. And we could look at that and say, oh, okay, it could be because of societal pressures.
Yeah.
Because their friends are getting it done and their friends look good and they want to be part of that group. They want to stay relevant, so they do it as well. So that's why I said I agree with what she's saying. There's a lot of truth to what she's saying, but I don't think it's all women. I think it varies.
Yeah.
It varies. But I do feel like it feels like the issue is men.
Oh.
I mean, she mentioned what they get from it. We know that a lot of things are run by men.
You're saying we're in a patriarchal
society. Basically, that's what she's referring to. So everything's revolving around what men want. Like you're saying it's not, that not all
I'm saying it is. Some of it is, but I think some of it's not.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think it's all of it is for the male gaze. I don't believe that. I think that there's some people that do it because of societal pressure, but there's still a connection.
Yeah, because the underlying like where it. Yeah, the origins of it.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's almost like the societal pressures what makes you do it, but the reason why it even exists is because of the male gaze. Yeah, so I understand.
Because you see some of the women that have become famous through social media, they've often had work done. So when young girls see that, it's a case of, well, you have to have this in order to get
that.
This.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Yeah, I think there's something around changing your body because you want to fit in that it's, it's just an age-old discussion. I mean, the level of influences that we are under nowadays has increased, and it makes it harder. So how do we go about challenging our pressures and embrace our individual bodies, our evolving bodies?
I think we need to support each other. I think we need to support each other, support partners, support your friends, just be there for each other. And like we said at the beginning, as we get older, our body's gonna change. We all go through it. There's no one that doesn't go through the body changes. That's one thing we all have to accept in our heads.
Yeah.
You will not escape it. Yeah. So let's accept it. Let's support each other. Let's be there for each other. Be patient with one another, especially if you've got a partner, you've just had a child or had kids. Be more understanding.
Yeah.
Do some research on it, like, body transformation, body changes after giving birth, read up on it. And I'm mainly talking to the men.
Okay.
I would say the women should do the same thing to the men, but my main focus here is the men. Like, let's listen more, be more understanding, be more supportive. I think that's the only way we can start making changes in it.
Yeah. And I think also, it's like what we were talking about in terms of women in relationships feeling unappreciated or starting to feel like, feeling run down, to be honest. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of pressure that leads them to depression or overeating or, not feeling
appreciated
and the self-esteem not feeling as loved and stuff. So that's a whole different, just me going off into a tangent. It's a whole different area of discussion, but there is something there.
That's relevant though.
Yeah,
it's relevant.
It is. We talk about weight in terms of excess weight, but there's also women that struggle with not being able to gain weight from stress and things like that, and being skinnier than they want to be, being way too slim or being underweight. That's also a thing. And we look at the other side end of the spectrum. Just because your wife is very slim and everything else doesn't mean that she's happy or that
she wants to remain that way.
Yeah, exactly.
But obviously men won't talk about that because they feel like that's normal.
Okay, that's okay. Normal. Yeah, but it's more about being healthy, making sure that whether it's overweight or underweight, it's about making sure that you're not contributing to things that make someone go one end or the other. But at the same time, we also have to take responsibility for our own appearance and body and health and things like that. You know, I can say that once I felt like I had the space to really think about my health, things like that, and having you there supporting me, I was able to kind of take certain decisions and do what's right for me. But that wasn't for me to get a BBL or have breast enlargement or things like that, but it was taking a decision for myself. And I think a lot of the times women will do that when they're in a safe space and when they feel supported. And the same thing with men. I think men will also do that.
Yeah, if we come around to talking about it.
Well, talk about it with your spouse, you know, talk about it with your partner.
Yeah.
Talk about it with your wife, you know. So, yeah, to sum up, we didn't really touch on DC Young Fly, but I think we mentioned, I don't know, their situation was sad.
It was sad, so I'm not sure if we should even talk on it. We get it. We get the situation. You know about the story. You know what's happened and stuff. So what we've been talking about over the last few minutes does feed into that. It's a case of, you know, the pressure, the wanting to look good, because now obviously you're now in the public eye, so you need to keep up that appearance and that. Yeah. And sometimes you just want to feel confident in yourself.
Yeah. Okay, so some of the tips and takeaways from what we've been discussing in terms of actual steps that you can take.
Helpful steps that you could take,
to navigate this whole issue of body image and how to kind of deal with it in your relationship to avoid it impacting it negatively.
Creating your own standards. So when we say that, what do we mean by that?
Just being aware of the fact that a lot of the times your opinions can be influenced by society, and really looking within yourself to say, okay, what do I like? What do I think is beautiful? Most of the time, the person you're with, you thought they were beautiful. That's why you're with them. And remembering that beauty is more than just today's appearance, for example. You know, having standards and values that go beyond just what everybody else thinks is great, you know. Also, like prioritizing health and happiness over societal expectations. So
that's a good point.
I always say you did that for me. Like, you prioritized my health over appearance. And that helped me to get myself in the right headspace. Whereas if you were kept talking to me about my appearance, or if you had issues, because you didn't really have issues with my appearance, but if you were feeling like, oh, I don't want my wife to look like this, and it was all about you, it might have had a different impact on our relationship and my self-esteem. So prioritizing health, you know, and not caring so much about societal expectations and pressure.
I think another one is embracing the change, understanding that it's gonna happen.
People change.
People change, and embracing it, doing it together would actually help, because it will allow both parties to feel connected, if that makes sense. Embracing change is definitely important, because like we said, you're going to grow, you're going to change. It's unrealistic to expect someone to stay the same year after year after year. So being realistic about that, definitely. Seek external support like counseling or therapy, even like speaking to your doctor about stuff and things like that. It's a concern for you.
You know, we shouldn't underestimate the importance of actually seeking professional help where we need it, and not just kind of dealing with things by ourselves. So like if it's depression, for example, that could be affecting how you're eating and affecting your weight. Seek professional help to deal with the issue of the depression or the anxiety or the stress. You know, having that support in place can make a big difference to your actual body image and the way you feel about it. And then we had as well, build a culture of appreciation in your relationship. So we were thinking about fostering that self-love and mutual respect that we talk about a lot in other episodes. You know, you've got to have time to yourself. You've got to do things that make you happy. You've got to kind of foster that self-love. And then your partner should be focusing on respecting your space, respecting your individuality. And then you can do the same for your partner. That will make a big difference, because builds a foundation of acceptance and appreciation.
Yeah.
And that's like the main place to start.
Yeah, I agree.
And then
I
lastly,
think, well, before we touched on the last one, I just thought about one, set boundaries. There should be boundaries where you don't cross when it comes to body image. So I think setting a boundary is very, very important.
yeah. And that is so true, because for us, the boundary was just me not wanting you to control what I eat and stuff, because that made me feel even worse. But the boundary for someone else could be not accepting insults about your weight. Some teasing and insulting.
Yeah.
Like some people are in relationships where their partner actually will verbally abuse them. When they're bigger, or when, you know, because they've put on weight, and they start to actually talk to them a certain way, which I can't imagine. That was not our relationship. That's not our reality. But that's what happens sometimes.
And some people think that helps. They think,
let me insult them, embarrass
but, you know,
them.
by saying it, oh, come on, you can, like, you know, would actually motivate them to then lose the weight or to then change their eating habit. But it doesn't. It just makes it worse.
It makes it worse because it knocks that person's self-esteem.
Yeah.
So if you're with someone who's literally verbally abusing you in terms of making you feel worse about your appearance or your weight and stuff, you know, look within and think about how you feel about yourself, but set the boundary to not allow that person to continue to kind of hurt you with their words and their, you know, the way they treat you. You shouldn't accept that, because if you were treating me like that, I don't think I would have had the headspace to really be where I am today.
You probably would have put on even more weight.
Yeah.
And we would have had a good relationship.
We wouldn't have. So that's definitely true. You need to set that boundary.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, communication. So talking about body image is essential in marriage.
Yeah.
Telling your partner how you feel about.
Let it become normal. Normalize discussing it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you see an article online, bring it to your partner. Like, you know, what do you think about this? You know, like.
Yeah. It's all about communication and being open, because sometimes I say to you, like, oh, I feel like I'm putting on weight. And you'll be like, no, you're not. Or it's good for me to voice that as opposed to kind of internalizing that and starting to feel bad. Sometimes it gives you the opportunity to kind of boost my self-esteem. And the same thing with you.
What do I say? What do I say out loud?
What do you
My hair's not growing.
No, I think sometimes, like, if you haven't had a shave and you know, like when your facial hair grows and stuff and you get all funny.
Do I?
I think you get funny, and I'm like, you just go and have a shave.
Or do I just look funny?
No, I think you don't. Sometimes you don't act like yourself, and I'm like, you need to go have a shave so you can feel good.
So you think an unshaved man acts differently from a shaved man?
Well, my husband.
That's another discussion. That's another episode.
My husband acts differently. I don't think you act differently. I just think sometimes that is probably the time when you're probably not in your most confident space, and you're not even aware that it's because you haven't gone and shaved and had a haircut and stuff like that. And sometimes I will remind you, like, listen, you're handsome regardless, but you're starting to feel funny about yourself. So go and shave, go get your hair cut, and then you'll feel better. And then you're like, because by the time you have that shave, he's there walking around feeling like, return of the Mac.
Is it? Okay.
That is how you act.
I see. Okay.
When you've had your shave, all of a sudden you're all stush again. You're all
stuck up. Wow, are you going to be putting that out there?
Yeah.
When that's not even the truth. Wow.
So how do you act when you're shaved? When you finally got your hair cut, you're shaved, you're looking good.
I feel the same way.
Sure.
I feel the same way I felt like, you know, before I shaved.
I
may come across different.
You come across more confident. And it's the same. If I went and got my hair done and I come back, I'm like, yes.
Okay.
Say something.
Okay.
But
fair enough.
Yeah. You might not even notice it, but there's a level of confidence. And sometimes I try to remind you that, you know, there's nothing wrong with you. You just need to go and have your shave and have your hair cut, and then you'll feel good again. And and it's the same with me. Sometimes I just need to go get my hair done. I just need to be a certain way. But So communicating, talking with your partner about how you're feeling, give each other compliments.
Yeah.
Like, tell your partner they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Tell your husband he's handsome. Like,
Yeah. Accept the person for who they are.
yeah, and love them.
And you will see changes. If you love them for who they are and accept them for who they are, you will see changes. They themselves will
grow in
confidence and make that change that you want them to make without even saying it.
Yeah, because they then feel confident, so they want to keep up their health, their appearance, and they know that you love them, so they want to look good.
Yes.
You know, so yeah, I agree. I think that's it on body images. I feel like this has been kind of long.
Yeah, I think we've covered what we wanted to cover.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So before we go, we have a dilemma. All right, let's see. What is today's dilemma? We're getting more and more dilemmas, by the way, which is just amazing. We're also getting lots of DMs now, dilemmas via DM, whereas we tend to get dilemmas via email. So now we're getting lots of DM dilemmas, which is
great.
Which is fantastic. So we're going to actually read a DM dilemma today, which is interesting. Hey guys, I wanted some advice. So I have been in a relationship with my guy for 2 years and 3 months now. Things were going very well until there was 2 days he traveled home, and on coming back we met, talked, and he was acting rather distant. I asked him if there was anything wrong, and he said he feels like his feelings are gone. So I asked when did he feel that way, and he told me it has been in his mind the days that he was gone, so the 2 days that he was gone. Personally, I want things to work out between us. We had agreed to work on detachment for a month, but I feel the energy is one-sided. So I decided to give a little bit of space. What is really going on, since I feel like so far things are going so fast and it's depressing. Oh, sorry, girl. Okay, so essentially they've been together for over 2 years. Everything seemed to be going great.
Something is definitely
2 days ago, my guy traveled.
Yeah.
And now he's come back talking about his feelings are gone.
What's happened?
He was only gone for 2 days. It's not like...
A lot could happen in 2 days. A lot could happen. The question is, what has happened in those 2 days that he was gone?
But she says she asked him and he's saying nothing. His feelings have just
that's not true.
disappeared. Like he left them where he went.
Your feelings just don't disappear like that. There's got to be something that has been brewing.
It's either something that's been brewing or someone has come into the picture.
Into the fold, yeah. Yeah, your feelings just don't disappear like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He needs to give a bit more information. He needs to, I would press him a bit more on what happened in those 2 days. Yeah.
I mean, we don't have much context. We don't know where he went.
Yeah.
You say he traveled, but it seems like he only went for 2 days. So, I mean, do you guys live together? Oh, she said, until there was 2 days, he traveled home. And on coming back, we met, talked, and he was acting rather distant.
He did travel.
So this leads me to believe that they don't live together, because she said we met and talked. So it seems like he traveled home. Sounds like maybe he went back to his country, or to travel home, or maybe he traveled out of state. Who knows? Anyway, why are we trying to dissect this?
No. It's that's those information they're not that relevant.
Yeah, that's not relevant. The key thing is something has happened. I think something concrete has happened, whether someone else has come into the picture or he's been feeling a certain way about the relationship, and the time away just made him realize that, he doesn't, his feelings are changed.
Yeah.
I think it's really sad, but I always try to remember that I only want to be with someone that wants to be with me.
Yeah. It needs to be a two-way thing.
Yeah. Talk to him. Try and get him to open up about what happened during that time away. But at the same time, you can't make him open up.
Yeah.
So if he's not willing to kind of let you in and, you find out what it is and see if there's a way to work around it or work it out, then there's nothing you can do. If there is a way and you have that conversation, then you guys can move forward. But if not, for me, it's something you have to be careful with. You need to be careful with people being inconsistent.
Yeah.
And you should only really want to be with someone who's sure that they want to be with you. So as sad as it will feel to kind of a 2-year relationship to kind of start fading away, you may have to just have the conversation and be like, okay, well, it seems
Find
like
out what has changed,
what has
happened.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can't make everything work all the time.
Yeah. There's nothing you can do if someone feels like they don't want to be with you anymore. And if that is what he is feeling, then to be honest, you rather know sooner rather than later.
I agree.
So, yeah. And then that way you can just move forward and move past it.
Yeah.
But if it's actually an issue, don't give him too much space in the sense that you act like you don't care or, you know, pretend that you don't care either way. Don't do any of that. Just
be very upfront.
Be very upfront and
express how you
him.
feel. Yeah, and try to understand why he feels the way he feels.
Yeah. But if he's just saying like, oh, I need space, then set your boundary of how long you can wait for that space and what you deem acceptable as well. Don't just kind of let him have you in a limbo.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. That's all we can say. I'm really sorry that you're going through this right now. And I think all you can do is try and communicate as much as possible with him to try and understand. But if you can't find a way around it, just remember that you deserve someone that can love you the way you need to be loved as well. And that makes you feel secure and not questioning whether or not you're good enough for them. So if they're not feeling like they feel the same for you as you feel for them, then maybe it's time for you to move on. And it's going to be hard because breaking up with someone is always hard, but you'll get through it and there's more to life. So you'll go through the motions and you'll get through it if you need to.
I agree.
We can touch on another dilemma that we had as well, which is quite a quick one, where it said, "Hi, ITT Podcast. I need you to help me. My partner and I have a good relationship over the phone, because that's how it all started, but there's no connection when we meet face to face. What do you advise we do to build that level of intimacy? This is breaking us apart. Please help us."
That's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Yeah, I do wonder if because obviously they started off having a relationship over the telephone, is it because they live
far away? Yeah. Is it a distance thing? And no connection when you meet face to face. Sometimes I find that if you talk to someone online or on the phone for very long, it is awkward when you meet face to face. I mean, we met online. When we met face to face, it was weird, wasn't it?
It was weird, but not that weird. that there wasn't any connection.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it might be a case of in this situation, you may need to spend more time together.
Yeah, actually doing stuff. Do activities.
Yeah.
Actually try and let your hair down. I think you're right, Frank.
Yeah.
I think they need to do stuff together.
Yeah.
Like, don't just meet up and be at each other's house. Actually go out and do something. Do something fun, like bowling.
Create memories together.
Yeah.
That I would say create memories together, and then...
Yeah. And if you do that, you know, you go on 3-4 dates and it still feels awkward, then that person might not be for you. I feel like that's what we're telling everybody, but...
No, but sometimes that's what it is.
Yeah, sometimes that's what it is. You can't have a long-term relationship with someone just over the phone. So I think definitely put the effort. Tell him how you are feeling about the connection. I'm not sure if he also feels the same way, but if, you know, have the conversation and be like, let's do some activities.
Yeah.
Maybe tell them over the phone when you guys have the most connection.
Most connection, yeah. See how he responds to that.
Yeah. I say do some activities, like Frank was saying, and take it from there. And let us know how that goes. But yeah, so we've done 2 dilemmas. We're going to try and approach some other dilemmas that we've had. We'll try and do them through our Instagram as well and do like a quick answer for you guys.
Yeah, definitely. But it's been a good one.
Yeah. So hopefully you guys have found it useful.
I enjoyed that one.
What did you?
Yeah.
What did you enjoy about it?
Everything.
So that's it, guys. You've heard our opinion on body image and how that affects relationships. We've spoken about the impact societal pressures have on us and how we perceive our partners. And we've given you some tips on how to deal with it in your relationship. We really hope you tune into the next episode where we'll be talking to other people about your relationship. Should you do it?
What are the pros and cons?
So yeah.
Tune in for that episode.
We appreciate everyone that takes the time to listen to our podcast, and we're super grateful for all your engagement with us. Don't forget to email us any of your questions, comments, or dilemmas at itt.thepodcast@gmail.com or send us a DM on Instagram at ITT Podcast, all one word. Thank you for hanging out with us, and we'll speak to you on the next one.
Bye.